Oh, hey, what's happening there, YouTube? It's Brian House here for Housemade, and today in the workshop we have a fun little project. About 6 months ago, I worked with a bunch of guys after Blade Show. We made a piece of twist Damascus steel, and if you follow me on Instagram, you could have watched me actually hammer this steel out. It was be my first forged to shape knife that I've ever made, and I'm really proud of it, and it's a pretty cool piece. I wanted to make a handle for it, and so I glued together some ebony and some African blackwood, and I spared you guys the whole broaching process and creating the slot and all of that. I'm sure you guys have seen other videos out there. Jeremy over at Simple Little Life has a great video on that process. I did that, and now I need to mill it down or grind it down to shape, and I want to do a tapered tang. Here at Housemade, we make surface grinding attachments, and more specifically, we make non-ferrous surface grinding attachments that actually basically uses the magnet portion and a piece of steel with two little braces on it so you can put something that's, say, non-ferrous, like wood, copper, things that are not magnetic, right, into your surface grinder, and you can actually grind things down to shape that way. Well, I've never done this on our surface grinder, and I know it can do it, so I figured this would be a great time to demonstrate that, and then also add one level of complexity, which is a taper to that particular handle. Now, I love a Japanese style wah handle, octagonal handle. I think it's fantastic, it looks beautiful, and that's what we're gonna achieve here today. Now, the machines that we're going to use to do this process are Revolution 2x72 belt grinders. If you're not familiar with that project, we sell pieces, parts, and plans so you can build one of the biggest, best, heaviest industrial grinding machines on the market. And if you're interested in building one for yourself, go to my website, housemade.us, and check it out. Now, the first step of this process, we're going to use a VSM ceramic belt, and we're going to square up the material, meaning we're just going to align the outer edges, make it nice and square to that slot, and then we can move on to the tapering. Everything's starting to get nice and flat. So now that we have one flat side, we're going to use that side as our index and keep working. Okay, so now you can see we've got everything squared up. The surface grinder with the non-ferrous attachment did a great job of just keeping everything nice and square. I was paying attention to the slot and looking to see, you know, do I need to correct? Is this off by a little bit? Just kind of measuring as I went. And then also sliding in the knife to double check, you know, is everything lining up and does it look straight in the handle? That can be an issue, so you want to make sure you're paying attention to that. Now, the next step of this is we're going to do a taper on this, and the surface grinder has a tapering feature. I've never used it in this capacity, but I think it's going to do a great job, so let's give it a shot, set our angle to where we want it to be, and see if we can get this handle tapered out. So as you can see, got a nice taper on that so far. Now that's just one side, and you will have to compensate for this taper on the other side. Our surface grinder has a series of marks on it that you're able to gauge how far the taper is by just using like an Allen wrench or something. Sliding it up, and you can measure this Allen wrench where it sits. So it's hitting this hash mark right here, and then all I have to do is find out, okay, this Allen wrench, Allen key is a 6 millimeter. That means that now I just need to grab a 12 millimeter, unlock the surface grinder, push this to 12 millimeters, and now it's matched the taper on the other side, and I can continue my work. And now you can see we have a beautifully matched taper on both sides. It's almost too easy. And now we just need to finish these two sides. So that means we have to revert back to the original taper setting that we had before. Do that one side, then flip it over, double that, and do it again. And as you can see, that worked like a charm. I think what I love about this process is that it's so precise, and once you understand how to set the taper, it's really hard to mess up and everything stays nice and indexed. Also, because this non-ferrous device is actually in the same location on the machine at all times, you can guarantee that taper is going to match across the board because where you're clamping it in place never changes. Okay, so now that we've got all of our tapers in, we need to break the edges on this, and I've made some marks which are just general guidelines to where I want to break the edges of this thing. And I'm going to set my work rest on my Revolution Gen 5 to 45 degrees and use a glass platen, break those edges, and then see where we sit. A lot of times I like to finish doing this vertically, and I will take the work rest completely off of the machine and then finish everything vertically. And then I'll move on to some higher grit belts, which includes a surface conditioning belt. Overall, I am super stoked with how this turned out. It just really pops now, and I did no hand sanding on this handle. This is all done on the machine. Went from 60 grit to 120, then right to a Scotch-Brite belt. This finishes up really nice. Now, this isn't glued up yet. I still got a bunch of work I got to do on the blade itself, so I'm not going to glue it up until that's all finished. But I am really happy with how this turned out. Now listen guys, if you got something out of today's video, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. And if you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button. And if you click that little bell, you get a notification every time I upload something to YouTube. There's many ways to support my channel, but by far the best way is to go to housemade.us, buy pieces, parts, and plans for the Apollo project and the Revolution project and all the other accessories we now make and sell right there at housemade.us, American made. So thank you so much for all the love and support all through the years. I hope to see you on the next video. My name is Brian House, and this has been Housemade.